My rental property is going to be paid off in 1 year. And it got me thinking, a lot of you are asking me about what it's like to purchase a rental property and how to grow your wealth in real estate. So I wanted to give you a real life example of what worked for me and what my family has done to grow their wealth in real estate so that you can decide if it is the best thing for you. Let me start with my example. Now, I purchased my rental property 15 years ago. So prices were a little bit different then, but just giving you an idea of what it's like and what the process looks like start from finish. So what most people do is they have equity in the current home that they're living in. They take a small loan against that home and get the down payment to buy the rental property. So you do have a small loan on your home for the down payment amount, and then you have the larger loan on the home that you're purchasing. So the larger home on the home that you're purchasing as the rental property is the one that you want the tenant to make the payment for. So in a perfect world, the tenant moves in and they're covering that payment. Sometimes there's 100, 200, there's a little bit of a gap that you would want to pay each month. On my personal situation, there would have been a gap every month if I added my taxes and insurance into the monthly payment. So I chose to have those separate. In the mortgage payment, the tenant covered the entire mortgage payment. I then had to come up with the taxes and insurance payment every year, once a year. So I did have money out of pocket in my personal situation. With that being said, I did pay the taxes and insurance on the property, but I paid zero towards the monthly home mortgage. So in one more year, that home is going to be paid off. And then I will have three options. My options would be to continue everything as is. And now I'm collecting rent each month that is no longer going to the monthly mortgage. It is going into my pocket that I could be using for my retirement, for living, anything that I choose to use that money for. Number two, I could sell that property that now has zero payments on it, and I can use all of that money to maybe purchase my dream home. Or number three, what most investors do to grow their wealth is they now have a home that's free and clear. They take a small loan out against that home, one that the tenant will continue to pay off for them, so they will not. And they take that money and buy a second rental property where the tenant will pay off that loan. So they keep growing and growing and growing, adding rental property on. Once one is paid for, then the next one the tenant pays for, and it just goes down the line. Now, let me give you an example of my exact rental. Um, I'm going to round all the numbers off just to make it easier for math purposes. But I bought my rental property for $200,000 15 years ago. I put $50,000 down on the loan, and the tenant paid all of the mortgage. I could now sell that rental property for $500,000. So that's a $300,000 that we have gained in equity in that home. 300,000 out of nowhere. So if we did nothing and we paid the monthly mortgage, we would have made $300,000 on our investment, which is amazing. Where can you do that? But in this case, I did not just make $300,000. I made much more than that because I only put $50,000 down. The tenant paid all of the rest. Yes, I did pay the taxes and insurance on the property. So there is some added money that I put into it. But you can venture to guess that I made over $400,000. 450 is what I like to look at because the taxes and insurance I don't really count. I count my initial down payment. The rest is kind of the upkeep on having a property. I also want to tell you the downside of having a rental home because I think it's important that everybody does realize that things don't always happen like they should happen. And sometimes you may get a tenant in there that doesn't pay the rent, or that damages the property and you have to go in and fix it all back up, find another tenant. You might have a couple months where you are not collecting rent. So it's really important that you budget for that. And the most important thing is that I wanted you to know how landlords grow their wealth and their retirement by leveraging their home to buy a rental property and leveraging that rental property to buy another rental property, and so on and so on. So if you have any questions about how you could leverage your home to buy a rental property, let me know. I'm definitely here to help. I'm Carrie Cross with the Cross Group at Corcoran Global Living. I look forward to talking to you soon. Bye.